Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me again. This is your host, idjester. We are continuing our look at the Advanced Squad Leader rules. In about 15 minutes, we're continuing Section A of the rulebook, subsection 7, fire attacks. We've gone through quite a few rules so far. We are now going to add a few rules to our repertoire, those being Section 7.34, squad spraying fire. So, if you recall back quite a few episodes ago, we talked about the different unit counters and what the different strength factors mean. One of the things we talked about was underlined the different strength factors of your counter and what those might represent. Well, we're now going to find out what some of them represent here in section 7.34 and 7.36. So spraying fire, you will know, is a counter will have an underscore beneath the range portion of its strength factor. So you can see here on the left-hand side these two different Russian units. Both have an underline underneath the range factor, so they have spraying fire capabilities. This counter over here on the right has no underscore, so it has no spray fire capabilities. Basically, spraying fire is identical to the machine gun spraying fire, section 9.5, which I've got listed here as well, except that it's limited to a maximum range of 3 hexes. If spraying fire at 3 hexes exceeds the normal range of a unit, any target hex beyond normal range would halve the firepower again as long range. So let's look at our machine gun spraying fire rule 9.5 here and see what it's talking about. Basically, when you're using spraying fire, you're going to apply your normal firepower at any 2 target locations in your line of sight, provided each target location shares a common hex side with the other. The TEM of target locations and line of sight hindrances between the fire and individual target hex will both be resolved on different results on the IFT die roll resolution. Spraying fire is always area fire, and if you remember from a few episodes ago, we talked about area fire, which I believe is section 7.23. The firepower of an attacking unit is halved if it's concealed or any application of the area fire penalty. So again, if we're going to be using spray fire, the penalty is going to be area fire, which is going to halve your firepower. Units can be adjacent vertically in the case of an upper building level, but each must be within 1 level of one another. And spray fire can be traced to points other than the hex center when firing at units in bypass or units using road movement rate in a non-open ground hex. So let's look at our Vassal module here and show you what we're talking about. We have a unit in M2 here, which is a 628. Notice the 2 is underlined. This unit does have spray fire capabilities. We are in the Russian player prep fire turn. We can tell that by our phase disc here over on the left-hand side. So this unit could choose to use his 6 firepower against a hex in K2, or he could choose to use his 6 firepower against a unit in K1. But since these units are both adjacent to one another and within 3 hexes, this unit can choose to use spray fire. If he does, remember it's going to be half firepower. So his 6 firepower is going to get down to 3 firepower. And then he's going to do his attack. And if we have units in different kind of terrain, let's look at our terrain here. Basically, we have a building here and we have nothing in K1. So what's going to happen is we're going to roll the dice, and each one of the units is going to apply its own TEM to the dice roll. So let's assume that this unit in M2 decides to spray fire, which it can. It is going to do his attack. He's going to roll 1 time, and we'll go ahead and do that. And he rolls a 1 and a 1. Interesting, because this pulls back another rule that we used from a while back. Remember cowering, this unit will cower. So let's look at our firepower table and see exactly how we ended up with this attack. So if we look at our normal 6 firepower here, we're normally a 6, but we lose half our firepower because we were doing spray fire. which drops us down to 3 firepower. There is no 3 table, so we drop down to the 2 firepower table. We rolled a 1 and a 1, and of course each unit is going to individually apply its TEM. So in this case, we have a building in K2 and we have clear hex in K1. So we have 2 firepower attack. Remember, we have coward, so we're down to the 1 firepower attack. The unit that's in K1 that has no TEM is going to receive a 1 morale check. And the unit that is in K2 that has a wood building is going to apply a plus 2 to the dice roll. So a plus 2 would be a 4 result, which is going to be a normal morale check. So with this spray fire attack, the unit ended up doing a 1 morale check against the unit in K1. And because the plus 2, remember we talked about this last time, some of the things we're going to slowly add in are some of our TEMs. Remember, wood buildings give you a plus 2, woods give you a plus 1, and the stone buildings, which are the gray buildings, give you a plus 3 to your attacks. So the unit that's obviously in cover is going to have less of a result than the unit that's out in the open. So that's how a spray fire attack is going to happen. If this unit in M3 here was to also do a prep fire spray fire attack, he could choose to do it against K2 and J1 because they are both adjacent and within 3 hexes to one another. They're adjacent to one another and within 3 hexes of this unit. But remember, this unit only has a range of 2 hexes. So this unit here would be a normal range, and this unit here would be in long range. So because he's doing spray fire, you're going to take half your firepower against this unit here in K2. But this unit is also in J2 is also in long range, so you're going to have half your firepower for spray fire, which is going to be 2.5, and then you're going to half that again because of long range, and you're going to be down to 1.25. So when we actually do a result against these 2 units, one's going to be on the 2 column for 2.5, and the other one's going to be on the 1 column for 1.25. And so each of them are going to apply their different TEM as well. So if we look at the different units, this unit's here in a wood building, so he's going to apply plus 2 to the dice roll. And this unit here is in a gray building, so he's going to apply plus 3 to the dice roll. And of course, we're going to only do 1 attack. We're going to check the different columns based on the different firepower results. And then we're going to add your own TEMs based on the different protection level of your hex for that unit. The last rule we're going to add in today is assault fire, which is going to be 7.36. We've been talking last couple episodes about attacking during the advanced fire phase. The advanced fire phase, remember, where you lose half your firepower. Well, that's true, but now we're going to find out something else that I haven't mentioned in the past, and that is those units are identified by having an underscore on their firepower text. So you can see here these units over here on the left-hand side, the 6 to 8s. The 6 has an underline, and the 5 has an underline, so these have assault fire capabilities. This unit again over here on the right-hand side does not have an underline, so of course it does not have assault fire capabilities. So what does assault fire capabilities do? Well, any squad that is using its inherent firepower during the advanced fire phase gets to add 1 to its firepower after, and this is most importantly, that's why it's in pink, after all modifications to these squads' inherent firepower. Then you're going to round any fractions up. So assault fire bonus is not applicable to opportunity fire, which we talked about last time. So you do not get to apply this if you're doing your opportunity fire, or to long range fire, but is still applicable to pin fires and spray fire in the advanced fire phase. So again, we'll go back to Vassal and we'll show you what we're talking about here. If this is now the next phase here where we go into the advanced fire phase. We've gone through a few phases here, and it's now the advanced fire phase. Maybe these Russian units had started maybe back this way, and then during the movement phase we're able to move up into these spaces here, and now it is now the advanced fire phase, so they can now do their advancing fire. Remember, when you're in the advanced fire phase, you're going to be at half firepower. So this unit here in M1 would normally have an attack against K1, since it's in normal range. It would have a normal attack of 3 firepower, because it's at half firepower, because it's the advanced fire phase. But because, remember, assault fire, the rule we just learned, basically you're going to take all of your modifiers, you're going to take all of your halving and doubling of your attack ahead of time. Then you're going to add your 1 firepower, and you're going to round fractions up as opposed to rounding fractions down. So in this case, this unit is going to have 3 firepower. Because of the underline, he gets to add 1 to that and round fractions up, so he's going to have a total of 4 firepower. Well, 3 to 4 firepower obviously makes a big difference, because you're going to move up from the 2 column up to the 4 column. Remember what I talked about a few episodes again, where you try and always, if you can, get your firepower up to the next column. Let's look at this unit in M3 here, the 527. Again, if it decides to shoot at this unit in K2, it's going to get his assault fire capabilities, and he's going to have a firepower of 2.5. Because of the advanced fire phase, you lose half your firepower. So 2.5 plus 1 is 3.5. And remember, you round fractions up if you have assault fire capabilities. All fractions of firepower are rounded up. So this unit actually is going to go from 2.5 up to 3.5 for the plus 1. And of course, 3.5 rounds up to 4. So again, this unit is jumping up from the 2 column to the 4 column. So that's very good for the Russian player. Obviously, this unit here, let's assume that this, let's just move in this unit instead. If the Russian player had moved up during the movement phase, maybe move this unit up in M3, that 447, when it advanced fire phase, it's going to have half its firepower, 2, and he's going to have no assault fire capabilities, so he's going to be on the 2 column. Where in this unit here, because he has assault fire capabilities, if he was in this hex shooting, he would obviously have assault fire capabilities. And you can see that there's certain units that you can have that you are going to want to, obviously, when we talk strategy here, we talk about prep firing, and we talk about movement and then advanced fire. When you're thinking about your prep firing units, those units that don't have advanced firing, you might want to consider prep firing these units. So this unit in M3, the 447, we know it doesn't have any assault fire capabilities, and if I wait to attack later on in the advanced fire phase instead of the prep fire phase, I'm going to lose half my firepower. This unit here, I could prep fire during the prep fire turn and be on the 6 column, but I could also possibly move this unit, get into better position, and still be on the 4 column because of the assault fire capabilities. So those units, obviously, with assault fire capabilities give you a little bit of bonus during the advanced fire phase, the assault fire capabilities. And with those units having assault fire capabilities, they're not going to restrict you as much to lower columns because you're losing half your firepower. Again, one other thing I do want to talk about is, let's say this unit here was in O2 during the movement phase. We'll just assume it's a movement phase. And he decides to spend 1 movement factor to go there, 2nd movement factor to go there, and then a 3rd and 4th movement factor to move into that hex with the woods. Well, later on we decide we go through the defensive fire phase, and now we're in the advanced fire phase. He has 6 firepower. Remember, we lose half our firepower because we are in the advanced fire phase. So 6 becomes 3, and then we also double that because we're adjacent to an enemy unit. So 3 doubled is 6. Then we're going to add our spray fire capabilities, which gives us a 1, which makes this 6 plus 1 is 7. And you notice that on our chart here there is no 7, so we're going to drop back down to the 6 column. So this unit here moving up, strategy-wise, I'm talking strategy-wise now, moving up adjacent to this unit to get an attack on it, isn't going to get any benefit for the advanced fire capabilities that he has, just because of his positioning and everything, and of all the rounding and all the doubling you do ahead of time. So this unit was back here in M2 during the advanced fire phase. He's going to have 3 firepower, plus 1 is 4. If he's up here, he's going to be double firepower, but he's also going to be half firepower. And the plus 1 for the assault fire isn't actually going to give him any bonus, because it's just going to take him up from 6 firepower to 7 firepower. And he's going to drop back down to the 6th column. So it just depends on the situation. That sometimes your assault fire is actually going to help you and bump you up the next chart. And sometimes it's not going to help you, just depending on the situation, your firepower total, all of your halving and doubling occur first, and then you're going to get your bonus 1, and of course you're going to get to round all your fractions up. And of course, when we were talking about rounding fractions up, we were talking about any fractions whatsoever you get to round up. So if you end up with the firepower, let's say a total of 1.25 or 1 1/4 firepower, 1 1/3 firepower, or 2 1/8 firepower. As long as you have a fraction there, you do get to round up to the next number. So 1 1/4 would round up to 2. A 3 1/8 would still round up to a 4. So just having that little bit of a fraction there is going to help you round up to the next number, and hopefully that can round you up to the next column so you can get that much better result on the IFT. So hopefully this explains spray fire. Again, maximum of 3 range when we're talking about our unit counters, and also assault fire, which is going to give you bonuses now in the advanced fire phase, and not hopefully restrict you as much for those units that have the underline underneath their strength factor, their firepower factor. So hopefully this explains spray fire and assault fire. Next time, I think we're probably going to get into support weapons and start talking about what all these support weapons do and what we can do with them. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.